Hey everybody, don't adjust your dials. That was just a brand new intro. I know. I changed it up on you guys all the time. But this is the same show. It's a Wednesday, guys. We're going to do our regular routine of entertainment news talk, and we're going to do a whole special for the Eternals review. This is a spoiler review of Eternals. So if you're watching this and you haven't seen Eternals, prepare yourself, as I always say, because you're about to get spoiled. So if you watch the movie, stop what you're doing, because I'm about to ruin the whole movie for you. Bars. That didn't even really rhyme right. What the hell am I doing? Anyway, Amanda, help me out, because I'm already sinking this damn intro. Guess what, guys? I have Amanda just vibing back into his house. There she is.
Hello.
Are you ready to do a little Eternals talk with me?
Yes, I am. I've been dying to talk about this movie and ramble about this movie forever.
You've been talking on your TikTok channel about it a little bit and getting into some good conversations about it.
A little, yeah, just more so comedy, or more so like small little snippets. I haven't really gone on a full ramble, and I'm ready to go on a full ramble.
But guys, if you want to follow Amanda, go to her TikTok, go to Instagram, or even on it's the same on Twitter as well, right? Amanda Just Vibing?
Yes, all the same, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everything.
Yeah, Amanda Just Vibing. Go check her out. She's got some awesome content on there. I wanted to have the sound bite. I'm working on a sound board for all my favorite TikTok personalities, where I can just push a button, and I was gonna have the number one button to be Amanda saying her favorite her best catchphrase, the phrase that made Marvel Studios afraid of her and TikTok love her at the same time, when she screams Marvel. Like the way my mom used to scream at me when the street lights came on and I was playing outside. That's exactly what it sounds like. Let me just rant on that for a second. I just realized that's what it reminds me of. Now I'm upset, and I got like some memories from when I stayed up past my curfew, or stayed outside past my curfew, and I would hear from down the street, Chris.
I have angry mom energy.
That's what it sounds like. That's why the Marvel character that you play on TikTok is so afraid when you burst through that door, because Marvel is playing outside with his friends and the streetlights came on and you like, I got dinner ready. Where the hell is Marvel at? Marvel! Y'all are like, what the hell is Chris talking about? But no, that's funny though, and I love it. I wish I'd have had that soundbite ready, but I don't. But guys, we're gonna go through a couple of talking points for the movie. We saw an advanced screening of it, and we couldn't wait to talk spoilers on it. I know there's been some spoilers talk on the Eternals since the movie has came out. I think that I saw one that came out like the day of. They were talking spoilers, but I try to wait. I try to give people some time to watch the movie first before we start talking about spoilers. So let's get right into it. One of the topics that I wanted to talk about was, first I want to get into something I saw on Variety and from Boxoffice Mojo. So guys, if you didn't see the news that the results of that the movie The Eternals made what was it, about like 71 million for the
71 million first weekend,
and worldwide it was well over 100 million. Now for a Marvel movie, now we're used pre-pandemic, we're not used to like numbers like that, but I think in this time, I think it's a win if you ask me. What do you think?
Because I think Shang-Chi was 75 million the first weekend, and then what was Black Widow?
I know it beat Black Widow. It was around this. It was like around the same numbers, but I think I think Shang-Chi. For opening weekend. No, I think Black Widow beat it for opening weekend. But I have to double check the numbers. I think I have it up real quick. Let me see if I can double check right here, right next to you. I think what did it say? Black Widow 80.4 million.
80. And then what did Venom do? I think Venom also did like 80.
90? Is that
90? Oh, damn.
Is it 80 or 90?
Venom. But like,
I might be wrong about that. Let me double check, but yeah, but I think that's what it did. No, go ahead. What were you about to say?
Oh yeah, because here's the thing: like we have to remember, it's like pre-pandemic numbers and current pandemic numbers are not going to be the same. So like, and also, unfortunately, Eternals was banned in several countries, so that also does affect box office openings. However, it did really well, like for what's going on right now,
Right.
and how like a lot of people aren't going to theaters, and how a lot of people aren't like experiencing movies the same way they were before.
Right.
It's a really good opening weekend.
Yeah, and no, and I just confirmed. I zoomed in real quick. Yeah, it's 90. It says 90. So real quick. So Venom 2, 90 million opening weekend. Shang-Chi 75.4 million. No Time to Die 55.2. Jungle Cruise 35. Halloween Kills 49.4. Fast 9 70 million. Eternals 71.3 million. Dune 41. Black Widow 80.4, and A Quiet Place 2 47.5. So yeah, I mean, like Venom, like wow, like Venom is
blew it out of the water.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I think also because of the after credit scene of Venom, a lot of people probably wanted to see for themselves. Yeah. But for honestly, for like pandemic levels, it's a good opening weekend. Yeah. Like it's not bad at all by comparison to any of the other big releases this year.
And you said you saw the movie. You got an invite to go see it. You checked it out. Miss Amanda is over here. She's acting all modest, but she deserves it. All you executives, Sony, Universal, Disney, what is it? What's that? Blumhouse, whatever. I don't care. What's your name? Call Amanda right now. Reach out and give her these damn press credentials because she deserves it. Nobody covers these things on TikTok better than her. Maybe besides me, of course. But she's like 10% better than me, if 8% better than me. And her followers, her hundreds of thousands to my 3 followers agree that she's superior on at this. But I enjoy when you are excited because you're a fan and you enjoy these Marvel movies, these comic book movies in general. And when you give your 2 cents about something and you're really passionate about it, I really see you putting your heart out there. How did you feel when you saw that the critic score like on Rotten Tomatoes was dipping? What was your first thought?
I'm not gonna lie, because a lot of people, especially when I do kind of get more serious and when I do kind of like stray away from the comedy and go more into like the serious subjects, a lot of people tend to brush you off and not really listen to what you're saying and why you're saying it. And when I saw that those reviews started to dip like that, in my head, in my brain, I'm just like, okay, if this had been any other movie with any other cast, would they have been judging it like that? And obviously, I wouldn't know because I didn't see the movie for the world premiere. I saw it about 2 days before it came out. And I didn't get to kind of see it for myself because I'm one of those people where it's just like, does diversity automatically make a movie exempt from any criticism? Absolutely not. Right. Because I look at things in a way that I don't just look at things because it makes me visually happy, if that makes any sense. Like, I do like to have fun. I do love representation, but I don't just look at things like, oh, it checked enough boxes for me, therefore it's good. Right. That's not how I look at media. I look at it like, is the story good? Is the pacing good? Are the effects good? Did the characters like carry the story? Did I care about the characters? Did I care about the story? Those are the things that I reflect on, the things that I focus on. So by comparison, when I see all of a sudden the same people who would love a movie like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, or would love a movie like just a 2-hour long epic of just a bunch of white guys doing stuff, and then all of a sudden they can't handle 2 hours and 37 minutes, it looks a little bit suspicious. Like, it looks a little bit weird that the concept is something that people would eat up, but all of a sudden they can't handle it anymore. Yeah. And it looks very odd and it looks very biased when otherwise it would have had rave reviews. But the only things that are different are the fact that the cast doesn't look like them. And it's just kind of telling because I was like I went to Eternals with neutral expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know much about the Eternals as characters. That's why I kind of went in blind because I didn't want to look at all this content and kind of
Right.
go in with an expectation that
Exactly.
wouldn't really come to fruition because I'm like, okay, I know more about like the other Marvel characters. I'm still very new to the Eternals. So let me just go in with fresh eyes. And I was going in very neutral, going in very like all I know is what the trailers told me. And I am just going to watch it the way that I watch every other movie. And I left being like, what on earth were the critics watching? Because I am personally I'm not a fan of super long movies. I tend to check out in the middle of long movies because they tend to like suffer from sagging middle syndrome. They tend to like forget where they're going for a bit and then kind of just fill time because they have the runtime. I did not feel like that with Eternals. I was engaged the whole time.
Right.
And I cared about what was happening to the characters the whole time. And I wanted to know what was happening the whole time. And by the time it ended, I was like, really? It's been over 2 hours? Like, I didn't
I agree.
feel
Yeah.
like I was sitting there watching a 2 hour long movie. I felt like that watching Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. When I went to watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I was there with my popcorn and my drink. My drink was done by like halfway through the movie. My popcorn was done like the first third, and I'm like, this shit's still going.
I remember watching that movie and realizing how long it was, but I was very so entertained that I think there was a part of the movie where I'm like, damn, this movie is still going on. But then after that crazy scene at the end, if you know what I mean, then it boosts me up again. I'm like, ooh, it was kind of worth the wait a little bit. But no, I know what you mean.
That almost made up for it for me, but I wouldn't watch it again if that makes any sense.
I've been meaning to watch it again, but I know this isn't maybe we should come back to the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood spoiler talk, but but I know this is about it.
So when I watched Eternals, I was like, I want to watch it again. Like, I actually want to go back and kind of see anything that I could have possibly missed. But I'm a type of person, I go to the movies. I can't drink anything because I'm going to have to go to the bathroom like 40 million times. I did not go once. I sat there.
You held it like,
I was just like, I sat there. I'm like, I'm not missing a damn thing.
Where's Harry Styles?
I'm like, no, that had me shook. But I knew what was going to happen, and it still had me shook.
Did your crowd, did they react when Harry got on screen? Did you hear like there was a few like young people in the audience, and you heard some gasps who didn't know he was coming?
Honestly, the part where my crowd reacted the most, because one of my favorite things about pre-screenings in particular is because you're going with fans.
Yeah.
You're going with people who are not just going around to like screw around and have a just day at the movies and waste money.
Unlike you fuddy-duddy critics who no, I'm just playing. No, go ahead.
But you're going with people who genuinely want to enjoy the movie that they're going to watch.
Right.
And you're going with people who genuinely love movies and who genuinely want to experience movies how they are. And one of the things that I loved about the crowd that I was with was the scene where Makkari was completely just showing Ikaris who the hell she was. Like when she was just literally just slandering his name, slandering his life, ending his everything. Like that scene, the whole theater was like, woo! Like they were like clapping and cheering her on. The energy was immaculate. Mm-hmm. And like when Harry Styles popped up, I think everybody by that time probably already expected it. So they were just kind of like, oh, okay, that's there. But the one time where they really freaked out was like, yeah, I'm a Like they were just having a great time.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know. I don't think I've ever seen any of her previous work. But let me just say, because it's safe, because Joy is in the other room, that my crush for her has started that moment, and it's still there. I've been Googling her, and I've learned how to sign, the Eternals. That she taught the cast how to sign, and the first thing that she taught them was how to sign Eternals for the hearing impaired and stuff like that. She's one of those actors that that it just warms your heart and gives you faith in people that, you know, like, because people have that image about those Hollywood elite, but she's not like that. You can, like, she's like real. She's you can tell, a very nice person, and a person that you would love to get to know better and to spend time with. And
she radiates warmth.
Yeah.
Like, she radiates like just good vibes all around.
I'm sure see her aura.
That wherever she goes, people are probably just ecstatic to be there with her.
Yeah.
Like, the energy even came through the screen.
Exactly. What I could, like, I was literally about to say that. I could feel it through the screen every time she was on screen. My heart just warmed up. I felt like I'm sitting there next to my wife, and I'm like, am I about to risk it all for this woman?
Something LGBT just happened to me. But like, I like literally like her. Okay, listen. Okay, I know. I'm about to get out of pocket here. It's fine. Okay.
Breaking news.
Listen. I went in thinking that Sersi and Ikaris were going to be my emotional support heteros. I went in being like, I'm gonna like the dude with the bone structure. No.
Right.
Okay. No. False. Makkari, first of all, yes. Beautiful. 2, Gilgamesh, male wife Gilgamesh, and 3, Druig. Excuse me? No business being like, did you miss me? My beautiful Makkari. I was like, what? I was like, excuse me? I was like, the 2 seconds between them two convinced me more than anything Sersi and Ikaris did on screen. They were more romantic in that 2-second reunion than Ikaris and Sersi were at their own damn wedding.
Yeah.
And
yeah. It's true, and we'll get into that a lot later. I know because I have a breakdown of each character and everything like that, so we'll get into more of that. But real quick, so from Variety, I want to go back to the box office, because this came in from Variety. Like, Disney superhero adventure Eternals debuted at 71 million at the domestic box office, a tally that would typically be labeled as disappointment, which I don't know why they're saying that in the blockbuster Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yeah, that's pre-pandemic, people.
Yeah.
Marvel movies rarely miss at the box office. All 26 Marvel movies have opened at #1 North America, and many recent installments pre-pandemic, of course, have ultimately glided by the 1 billion mark globally with ease. Box office observers and comic book superfans have come to expect the franchise's entire entries to generate more than 100 million in their opening weekend. Anything less by Marvel standards tend to be classified as a misstep. I need to know, Amanda, what do you think about that from Variety? Was it a misstep or was it just, come on, was it just the pandemic? What do you think? What are your thoughts about that statement?
Here's the thing. Every single Marvel property has opened under 100,000. Did they have the same energy for Shang-Chi?
100.
Did they have the same energy for Black Widow? Did they have the same energy for anything else? Like, that's what I'm not grasping with this one.
You're like, right. It's like all those other movies that you just mentioned. They mentioned, it underperformed what they do, but it's but that was pre-pandemic stuff. But for this movie, we're still in the damn pandemic, and they're holding Eternals up to the standards to before the pandemic. What's up with that?
And that's kind of like, to me, like, it's articles like that where they word it in such like a weird way.
Yeah.
And they word it in such like a kind of not to be like a jerk, but like derogatory way, where it's like, did you have the same energy for all the other Marvel properties that came out around the same time in the same year that also opened under 100 million?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why is Eternals the one that you're putting the light on? That doesn't make any sense. Why didn't you have the same energy?
I would argue maybe Black Widow, but only because of that drama that was going on.
Oh yeah, with the Disney Plus and
all that. But that's a whole different thing. But without any drama and all that other stuff going on, they still did the same kind of reporting on Eternals, which was it made no sense.
Yeah, and I'm like, did they have a similar article about Shang-Chi? Like, did they have one at all?
Right.
Because if they didn't, like, if they have one that's like similar, I'm like, okay, at least you're keeping the same energy.
Right.
But like, as far as I know, they didn't. So why is it all of a sudden that people are looking at this movie as if it's like one of the worst things to have ever happened?
Exactly.
And it's like, it's really not. Like, out of all the movies I've seen, including Marvel movies, this is not the worst Marvel movie that's ever come out. Like,
I was
and it's
I was
really
expecting it to be like worse than Iron Man 2 or worse than the Thor 2.
Thor: The Dark World.
The Dark World, the way they were talking. But when I
Yeah,
saw
and I'm
it,
just like, I went in there kind of being like, okay, I'm not expecting a masterpiece, but I'm also not expecting like a Thor Ragnarok. You know what I mean? Like, and here's the thing too, is like what gets me angry is because a lot of critics beforehand have been like, oh, Marvel's getting too formulaic. They're not taking enough risks. They're not doing A, B, C, and D. And then finally, when they start to do something different, and finally, when they start to introduce different concepts and different like ways of storytelling, they're like, why did they do this different thing? And it's like, but you just were complaining 2 seconds ago that it was too formulaic, and now you're mad
right,
that they changed the formula.
right,
And it's the math isn't mathing. So you're basically just trying to set these projects up for sabotage if you keep going back and forth. I had a teacher like that. She would change the rules halfway through and nobody would pass. Yeah. And it was just like, how are you gonna, like, again, keep the same energy, be consistent? Do you want different stuff? Do you want an expanded universe? Do you want different types of storytelling, or do you want things to stay the same? Keep the same energy.
Yeah.
And it's kind of annoying too, where it's just like, I don't think people quite grasp that the slanderous like stuff that people say, or like the mean stuff that people say, it's not just about this movie. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not saying that any movie with diversity is exempt from criticism. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is the fact that I've watched a shit ton of bad movies made, directed, and for white guys.
Right.
If I'm being blunt. You know what I mean? I have watched my share of the Michael Bay movie with a huge budget and the explosions. Like, I have seen enough movies that, yeah, not all of them are going to be masterpieces. But here's the thing, all those people still get a second chance. You know what I mean? M. Night Shyamalan hasn't been barred from making movies because of The Last Airbender. You know what I mean? He was still allowed to make Split, and people still really enjoyed that. He wasn't completely barred after the immense that have come out from his hands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like Michael Bay too, still being allowed to
blow shit up.
To blow shit up. Yeah. Like still being allowed. Like, and that what people don't quite get is that, especially for women, like Chloe Zhao, like women are allowed to fuck up. Like, remember when Wonder Woman 2 came out? I didn't like Wonder Woman 2. Yeah. I didn't like Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah, I didn't like Wonder Woman 2, but everybody started, like, there was some people making comments, like, especially like assholes who wanted to make it about women versus men directors and stuff, saying, see, this is why women director blah blah blah.
Yep.
As if male directors had
as if male directors never made
trash. Yeah, exactly.
And so, like, what gets me angry is it's like, you don't understand when you pull bullshit like this, and when you pull like it's the worst movie ever made thing for women or people of color or women of color.
Yeah,
they don't get the same chances as a male director. They don't get the same chances as this male screenwriter.
We have to represent our people. We have to represent
we
our
have
sex.
to be the best.
Yeah.
And if we're not given a chance. And that's just how it goes.
Exactly.
If we're not the best at what we do, if we mess up one time, people will use that as evidence as to why we can't ever do it again. And that's what people don't understand, where I'm like, I didn't like Wonder Woman 1982. I have made videos about why I didn't like Wonder Woman 1982.
Yeah, but does it mean that all women shouldn't direct?
Exactly. No. Do I go ahead and be like, and see, this is why Patty Jenkins is the example of why women should never direct again.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
When do I do that?
No.
I never do that. You know why? Because I'm not an idiot.
Exactly. like every director, every filmmaker will have a bad day at the office. Steven Spielberg has had a bad day at the office.
Exactly. And then we still allow him to
make movies. Yeah.
What Spielberg does.
Even though he had no business directing The Color Purple, but I digress. We still let him do it.
Isn't he directing West Side Story?
Hey. There you go. You made my point even that more solid. Exactly, right? But we still let him work.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what people don't get, where I'm just like, the reason why I say give Eternals a chance, respect it like you would respect any other movie.
Right.
I'm not trying to give them an advantage. I'm not trying to give anyone an advantage. I'm trying to level the playing field.
Right.
Because a lot of people will take any mess up, anything that's not perfect from a woman of color, a person of color, and just be like, this is the proof as to why white men should stay in power in the film industry. And they don't quite understand that. It's happened to me. If I made a mistake or anything or said something wrong, this is why girls shouldn't talk about Marvel. Like, as if no man has ever fumbled their words or messed up something in their life. And
I've literally never, you know what? Even though I've literally never heard, or maybe I've overlooked anybody actually saying specifically those words, but I've seen enough bullshit online to believe that it's definitely happened.
Look at any female content creators.
Yeah.
Like I've gotten into the habit. I don't care.
This is why we shouldn't let girls go to theaters.
No, literally, I started watching anime, and somebody was like, "This is why girls shouldn't watch anime because they're too loud." And I'm like, and men shouldn't go to sports games because all they do is fight and scream.
Yeah, like, exactly. Like, we can't have a female president because if she goes on her period, then she'll mess up the nuclear.
Meanwhile, the reason why girls get mad on their period is because of excess testosterone. Yeah, the man thing.
Every war that's ever been started has been started by a man, and it's weird. But that's a whole different show.
That's a whole other podcast. But like, that's what people don't understand. Where it's just like the reason why I am so adamant about being like, give shit a chance. Yeah. Because people will literally just not give it a chance. They'll see one thing that doesn't align with how they view the world, and they'll be like, I can't handle this. I know that this is like the genre I love. I know that this is the kind of story I love, but I saw a brown person. I can't watch it. People literally do that shit. I kid you not. I've had people in my comment section like, why did they, like, it's forced diversity. Why are they forcing it down my throat? Bro, they exist. Like, people, like, unlike you, exist.
Yeah, exactly.
And they'll say it on my page as if I'm not a woman of color.
Being black is not illegal. That's why it's allowed to see a black person on screen. Being gay is not illegal. That's why we're allowed to see it on screen. And
at least not in America. It is in some countries.
Right? Exactly. Oh yeah, exactly. But people it's like
glitches.
The intro all messed up again. Sorry about that. But people will freak out, like, and I didn't mention this on TikTok or anything like that, but when I previewed the movie, me and Amanda saw it on the same day but in different states. But I like to imagine that we were sitting next to each other, my wife and her and her husband. We were all like, it was like one group hug, and we were all fans, just all like what do people do online? Like, we were all together for Eternals. We were all together. In my heart, we were together watching the movie at the same time, same screen, same one screen, one love. But but when that part of the movie, and I'll get into it again later, where there was the two men on screen that kissed. I was waiting for it, and I knew it was gonna happen. I'm in the state of Texas. I knew it was gonna happen. You heard some idiots in the back of the theaters. Ew! Oh, girl, and I'm like, but like I said, it's not. You see it all the time. You see it in real life. It happens. You probably have a relative who is in a same-sex relationship, but yet in a theater, people want to feel so important. They want to interrupt the movie and let everybody know that they're uncomfortable with it. They want to interrupt that, but it's just, it gets on my nerves that people.
If somebody had done that in my theater, I would have walked out and been like, security.
But I mean, like, yeah, but I knew it was gonna happen. And the second I was thinking, wait, they're about to kiss. They're about to. The second I realized that was about to happen, I waited for it, and I wasn't wrong. There was some idiots in the back of the theaters. They had to voice their objection to it, but that's Texas for you. But yeah, we need more of your residents out there in California to keep. Yeah, a lot of you guys are moving out here to Texas and to help level the playing field out here.
Texas is the bad place.
Keep fixing Texas, California. Save California. Save Texas, California. But let me move on to the next topic. So, one of the things that I wanted to definitely talk about. What were the things about the movie that worked for you as for Eternals? What was the things that you overall that you liked about the movie? What worked?
So honestly, I am a big fan of character-driven stories. So I love when excuse me, I am gross. When a movie takes the time to flesh out the characters, make me care about the characters, because I've always said it. If I don't care about the characters, I don't care about the story. Because the characters are the stakes. I don't want anything bad to happen to these characters. I don't want these characters to betray us. I don't want these characters to do anything bad. I want to care. And I think Eternals did a really good job. It's a big cast. It was 10 characters. And not all of them got the same amount of screen time, but I cared about each and every one of them. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing where it's like when things happened, I felt it. And when the character did something bad, I felt that too, because I was just like, damn, I was rooting for you. Like, I rooted for them. And I think that's very important when watching anything, because if you're not rooting for anyone, if you're not caring about anyone, if you're not invested in their relationships, in their lives, in their characters, then what's the point? Mm-hmm. And so I think Eternals did a really good job of making me care.
I think that for me, moving the MCU to I have high expectations for Phase 4, for mm-hmm. bringing the MCU to this new era in filmmaking, because I feel like Phase 4 in Marvel, in the MCU, is going to be the closest representation of what we're used to, the actual comic book. You know how in comic books, anything can happen. You have multiple universes, you have all these crazy plots, all these crazy things that are happening at the same time. You have a Batman in this universe and a Batman in that universe, or you'll have a Spider-Man in this universe and you have all these things happening and all these balls in the air. There's these plates spinning or whatever you like to, whatever your metaphor is, going on. But Phase 4 for the MCU is the closest, should be the closest to what actually happens in the comic books, where we're talking about multiverse and all that stuff. And the Eternals was a doorway to that whole world. It, to me, people would say that WandaVision or Loki was the thing that opened us up, because it introduced this whole multiverse thing and all these crazy weird things that we can do in the MCU. But to me, the Eternals did it. Maybe because it was on the big screen, but the Eternals opened it up to like everything that I felt like I understood about the MCU, or that I knew about the MCU. That's one thing. But the Eternals is like, throw that away, because we just gotta look at the guy who created the earth. We gotta look at a god. Like when this movie began, and it started off differently than any other MCU movie, with the scrolling, the text like it was a Star Wars movie or something. Yeah. And it said, "In the beginning." I was like, holy shit.
We're going back to the beginning.
Yeah, this is big. This is unlike anything we've ever seen. And I felt like this movie changed everything moving forward.
Here's the thing too. It's like, it was very much on it made me feel like it made me feel bigger than myself, if that makes any sense. It was a very existential movie. And I don't really think that anything in the MCU previously really made me think on such a broad scale.
Yeah.
as Eternals, because long story short, for a lot of the MCU movies, especially when they are the character focused movies, like the trilogies, like the Thor trilogy, the Iron Man trilogy, they're very within their own like vibe, you know what I mean? In their own circle, in their own story, in a very closed instance.
Right.
This one was like not just global, but like a universal thing. And it really made you think, especially when like things were revealed, like everything has happened before, basically. And this is just something that keeps happening. And the Eternals are just reset and put back out there again. And just it made you think, because it's just like the implications of everything is like, holy shit, like there's a lot implied.
Yeah.
And one thing too that kind of gets me, where it's like they also explained away a lot of the plot holes that previously bothered people, because like you know how the whole like snap, the whole like Thanos fucking around and finding out.
Wait, like, what's the snap? You mean the blip?
The blip. The snap, the blip. No, the snap was what happened, that like Thanos snapped everyone. The blip is when everyone came back.
Right.
So like it explained why the Eternals didn't interfere when like all of that was happening, and it was a pretty good explanation. They were literally just instructed not to.
You think that was I call bullshit, because they said why didn't you help when Thanos snapped everybody and blah blah blah, and they were like, well, our prime directive is if it
I just thought about this.
If it doesn't have to do with the what was the villains called again?
Isn't Thanos part deviant though?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
wait a minute. I just thought about it. I'm like, wait.
If a deviant isn't involved, like we're not supposed to interfere. But like the prime objective of the Eternals was to, you know, help this planet, like every other planet where we put Eternals. We're supposed to help that planet evolve enough so the celestial being that we put in the center of this planet will have enough energy to be born. So that's the Eternals' prime objective, even if they don't realize that's what their prime objective. Wouldn't Thanos snapping half that planet directly interfere with that objective? Wouldn't that mean that they should have?
You're totally right. Okay, wait.
Boom. Marvel?
Oh my god!
Stream is over. That's it. Good night, everybody. What do you think? Come on. That means that they should have flown down all of them. Sprite, all of them. They should have came down and...
You know what they should have done instead? They should have just had them get dusted.
Yeah.
They should have just got dusted.
This is why, and this is what I really believe. I genuinely believe this. That I feel like here's the mistake that they made. Let's go into this because we talked about what worked in the movie. Here's what didn't work in the movie. So let's get into that. I'll put the thumbs down logo. Here's what didn't work on it. That didn't work. I feel like Kevin Feige and the MCU, this is the mark this is the thing that they missed, because they did this correctly with the Avengers, where they introduced for the Avengers movie, the director originally wanted to introduce Wasp in the first Avengers movie, but he was forced to use Black Widow and blah blah blah. I feel like we should have been introduced to an Eternal in a previous movie before we got this Eternals movie. I believe that if we would have gotten, I don't care who it was, if it was Selma Hayek, if it was Angelina Jolie, I don't care, any one of them. If we would have just got maybe Selma Hayek, because she was the leader at the time in the beginning of the movie. Maybe Selma Hayek as a healer. If we would have got introduced to one Eternal prior to the Eternal movie in a previous movie, I believe that the critics that thumbs down this movie would not have hated on it as much. I feel like we needed to be introduced to at least one, even if they didn't announce themselves as an Eternal. They just made a cameo and didn't do anything crazy. I feel like we should have had one Eternal cameo in a previous movie, because everything that they said that a planet needs evolve and blah 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 for a Celestial to be born. Thanos snapping half the universe directly interferes with every Eternal in every planet in all the universe and hinders all that plan. So technically, for that planet where a Celestial is planted, Thanos is technically the hero.
And here's the thing.
No,
where it's like, hold on, Eclipse. My dog is so upset.
No, he feels me. Your dog feels what I'm saying right now.
He's so mad for what? But yeah, so like because when you put it like that, where I'm like, wait a minute, like, wait a damn minute. Because okay, but here's the thing: would they even have been able to get snapped? That's the question.
I mean, well, the Infinity Stones would have. I think so. I think maybe half of the Eternals might have been snapped, and we might find that out later. But
or all of them could have. You don't know, because again, it was at random.
I mean, just going based on what the snap does. I'm gonna assume like 3 or 4 of them might have gotten snapped. I mean, but pick and choose who. But yeah, it's possible they all might have gotten snapped.
Peter's whole friend group got snapped. Like Peter Parker's whole friend group got snapped.
That's some bad luck. They should never buy lottery tickets, because
I'm assuming Aunt May also got snapped.
Yeah, she did.
She didn't seem too traumatized.
Yeah, she said that in the last Spider-Man movie, she said she appeared back in her apartment and there was a new family living there.
Yeah. So like that's the thing where it's like whole groups of people had gotten snapped. So it's entirely possible all 10 of them could have gotten snapped. However, I know they can die. Like they can die. They are biological beings. They're
engineered, but they're biological. Yeah.
Yeah, like they still have they still bleed. They still get hurt. They just don't age, and they don't experience, I'm assuming, any kind of illness or anything.
Yeah. Exactly. And their celestial father don't pay child support. But go ahead.
Damn. Okay. So. I'm just thinking, because if Vision hadn't gotten, if he hadn't gotten, then would he also have been susceptible to snapping or no? I don't believe so.
I don't know. I don't know if the snap, discriminated on,
artificial life.
You're too powerful to be snapped, or you're too this to be snapped.
Not even too powerful. I'm talking, artificial life. Because if it was on too powerful, then Wanda wouldn't have been snapped.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, if Vision didn't die before the snap happened, I think Vision would have been spared because he's not an organic being.
Yeah, so I was trying to think about that. I'm like,
yeah, you're right.
Are the Eternals susceptible to snappage?
I think so, because I think they are organic. They were, but I think that the Celestials technology, right? The Celestials technology is very advanced, but so advanced that it can engineer what we consider organic beings. I feel like they have a soul. I feel like whatever religious background you believe, I believe the Celestials have it. But I know what you're saying. But yeah, I think so. I think they are susceptible,
because they can, they love,
they can feel, they can
feel.
I
was like, they can feel.
Oh yeah.
Okay, can we talk about that? What did you think about that?
About what?
Those gangs. What? Did you think it was necessary? Did you think it was unnecessary? Did you think it added? Did you think it
to have a gay?
No. Like Sersi and Ikaris.
Sersi, the relationship?
No, did they not show you in Texas?
Wait. What I must have missed. What did you say?
Because remember, it was a big deal where it was the MCU's first sex scene.
Oh, that sex scene. Yeah. Oh, that wasn't even really I was so ready for it, where people were talking about it. And I'm a guy. I'm a guy. So I'm thinking MCU boobs. I'm thinking we're gonna see some short curlies, if you know what I mean. I'm thinking we're gonna see something, right? Something
it's
PG-13. Look. Back in 1987, PG-13 meant you might see something dangling. But in 2021, I know that PG-13 means something different. But all it was, and this is, hey, we can talk about it. This is the spoiler review right here.
Yeah.
All it was two humans pressed up against each other on a beach, and the camera was like, this is literally all you could see. This half of them. This is all you could see. Like if I took my shirt off and this is still all you could see. That was it. Like, ooh, real edgy Marvel, no penises. Anyway,
I want that on a shirt. Real edgy Marvel, no penises.
Yeah, there's your shirt. There's your merch, Amanda. Amanda just vibing.
Because
Marvel,
okay,
no penises.
Because I'm not a prude. Okay, I don't care. I'm one of those people. I consider myself a sex positive person. Half of my content for a long time was me making out of pocket simp jokes.
Amanda, did you want to see boobs?
I mean, I always want to see boobs, but like, but like, who doesn't want to see boobs?
I'm like, go on.
Consensual boobs.
All right. I'm trying to do my Jim Carrey Grinch impersonation.
It's like consensual boobs, of course. No unwarranted boobs.
No unwarranted
But like,
boobs.
I was an artist too. I literally drew nude people for a grade. So like, I don't care about nudity. I never have. I never will. And so, like, I don't know what I was expecting. I knew it wasn't going to be too out of pocket because, again, it is a Marvel movie. It's distributed by Disney. And it's just, like, I knew it wasn't going to be anything like 50 Shades Freed. Like, it was going to be...
how disappointing was that movie?
I wasn't disappointed, really. I just kind of was like, did that really... It didn't really add anything for me.
There was not enough Marvel penises.
Like, it didn't really add any, like, I feel like nothing would have changed if, like, it wasn't there, if that makes any sense. No, like, I understand the human element of it. I understand the realism element of it, because it is kind of funky that there's so many adult relationships in the MCU and not one of them be clapping cheeks. So, like, I understand from that aspect. However, it was also just kind of like, I think they played it a little bit too safe, if that makes any sense. Yeah, like it was I either would have preferred they play it a little bit less, like the one in Twilight was more intense than that. Like,
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Like Edward breaking the bed was more intense than what happened on that beach.
Which is why they want,
and that was also a PG-13
which
movie.
is why they want Kristen Stewart to play Joker, because they want a redo of that sex scene. Joker and Batman breaking the bed.
But like, that's the thing where it's like, I think you either go full on, like you either commit or you don't do it at all. Right. Like, I think even in a PG-13 movie, like, you can have a PG-13 sex scene. Like, it's not, I'm not requiring Marvel penis.
Yeah. Kevin Feige is watching this right now like, what the hell, Amanda? I thought we were friends.
I mean, look, again, I'm saying you either commit or you just don't do it.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Don't give mid.
If you're not going to show us a pee-pee in the MCU, then don't show us a shoulder.
Oh my God. Didn't they show in a Batman comic? Was it a Batman comic where it was like the first, like...
I don't know what you're talking about, but whatever it is, I want to find out.
Google it. Maybe don't.
I'll Google it. Let's think on. I'll Google. Remind me later, guys. I'll Google that later, and we got some comments coming in. But but let me keep us on track. Let's go through each of the characters real quick. And I got the first one already up on to our right, our left. We have Gemma Chan. What were your thoughts of Sersi? What did you think about Sersi?
I love Sersi. She was very much like everyone says it. I know I'm going to say it too. She was the heart of the movie. Mm-hmm. She was very much like the team big sister. If Ajax was the team mom, she was the team big sister. Yeah. And you could just like see that she genuinely cared about everything she was doing and about everyone she was with. Yeah. And I really like that about her because I feel like there is a, especially nowadays in media, where she was very like just into the divine feminine, if that makes any sense. Like she was very much like the soft, good, just genuinely good human being. She was, yeah, she could kick ass and take names. She could do some also like awesome shit, but she wasn't um badass in sacrifice of everything that made her her, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it was, I never felt like I was watching someone do something they shouldn't be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really nice to watch because I think nowadays, especially when it comes to like female main characters, one of two things happens. They're either like, well, one of a couple of things happens actually. They're either like hypersexualized, or they are fit into a stereotype, or they are completely stripped of femininity in favor of like putting in all the masculine traits on a girl, which is like, that's fine. But it also kind of demonizes femininity when you do things like that. It also kind of makes it look like being feminine is a bad thing or a weak thing, but it's not. And I love that Sersi like still embraced like the feminine while also being like such a badass, you know?
Yeah.
And as much as I love my girl boss tomboys, like it's nice to just see a character that's able to just be a strong woman,
Yeah.
and not just, oh my God, we have to make the strong female character the most badass she can be. No, like she had emotion, she had feelings, she had things that made her just a soft but strong person, and it was great.
I agree. I'm not gonna lie. At first, when I was first watching the movies, I was thinking like, what point of this character, I felt like she was I felt like she was like, I felt her and Selma Hayek were like my least favorite for a while, but then by the middle of the movie, and especially when her true power came out, when she turned that thing into a tree, I'm like, this, like that reveal, and it redeemed some of Hayek's character to me too. I'm like, oh my God, she knew from day one what Sersi was really, what she could do, even though Sersi didn't know. This reveal, it felt like an M. Night Shyamalan movie. I felt like I was watching a twist at the moment. Like, what? The second she turned that thing into a tree, I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, she's not like just like there just to turn rocks into like water. like she is important. And before she did what she did to the Celestials, the second she turned that what are they called?
The
deviants into a tree, I was like, holy shit, she is the most power. Like, forget like the same thing I felt when Wanda went up against Thanos, and Thanos bitched out and had to cheat to because he was getting his ass kicked by Wanda. if Sersi ever got her hands on Thanos,
if she poked Thanos, he'd be done for.
It'd be over.
It'd be over for him.
Sersi in that moment became the most important. She became the character, when I was talking earlier about a character that you could have put in a previous movie, so we could like get used to or prepare ourselves for the Eternals movie. My two characters that I would pick would be either Sersi or Selma Hayek's character, Ajax. Those two characters, either because any other character to me would be too powerful to have been in the Avengers. I mean, but a healer. Like Ajax and Sersi, I think they could have been low key enough to or I mean even Sprite, but I think they could have been low key enough to be cameoed in a previous movie.
Could have been an issue because of casting.
Yeah, good. Yeah, her age and all that. We'll get into that later. But yeah, Sersi. For the whole part, her and Selma Hayek, for some reason, I was like these two characters to me were like, they were to me. I'm not gonna lie, I thought they were boring at first. And but when that reveal happened, both of them at the same time instantly became the most important and the most intriguing characters to me. From that one moment when she made that character into a tree, I was like, oh, and that's why I said on TikTok, I was like, this is the movie where even the critics who like bashed it and said they didn't like it, once we get some distance from it and we get another Marvel movie and we can see the bigger picture, we're gonna see the genius from what she did with this movie. We're gonna see it, but we just can't see it right now. I feel like a lot of the critics that didn't like it, they can't see it. But when we get the next movie, we're gonna see it.
It was a big movie too, and that's the thing where it's like I think it was one of those things where it's like I think so many people are used to big bad boom, like it's going to be super fast paced and give us all this stuff. And it's going to be
Iron Man comes in and punches somebody, and it's like, over. Yeah,
and they're so used to that more story and character driven stories that are not very action driven kind of fly over their head. And I'm not trying to say anybody is stupid. Like everybody has different taste. Everybody likes different things. But I do think it is worth kind of sitting back, managing your expectations and being like, this is not going to be a Thor Ragnarok. Yeah. This is not going to be a Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, this is not going to be this ensemble movie of just people punching each other in the face. If
any other movie I could compare it to, I would compare it to Guardians of the Galaxy because Guardians of the Galaxy was even hardcore comic book fans didn't know, like you had to be a true blurred or nerd or geek to know about the Guardians of the Galaxy. But even comic book fans didn't buy Guardians of the Galaxy books, and you have to be like true to the heart, a comic book reader to know about Eternals and Guardians of the Galaxy. I think Guardians of the Galaxy and Eternals had that same kind of background coming into the MCU situation, but for some reason I don't know why Guardians of the Galaxy got more love than Eternals, and I feel like they were in the same boat. If that makes sense.
I feel like Guardians got more love. I'm going to be completely honest because Guardians of the Galaxy, both 1 and 2, are some of my favorite Marvel movies, and it's because I do think they did the found family / co-workers better than any of the Avengers movies has.
Okay.
Because the characters were actually kind of just like buddies and roommates, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like they were messing with each other, they were friends with each other, they had their own little like relationships with each other, and they cared about each other.
Yeah.
A lot of people have said that the Avengers are co-workers, and that's pretty much it. A lot of them are friends with each other, like they have their own relationships, maybe 2 of them, or like 2 at a time, but they are not a family. If that makes any sense. They're more of just co-workers. They come to punch in, they come to punch ass, and then they go to leave.
I know him from work.
and maybe they'll just have a non-funeral for one of their most important founding members, you know. No. But yeah, so that's where Guardians of the Galaxy also got more love because it was more outwardly comedic. It was more outwardly like just kind of fun and big and colorful and a spectacle. And that's not lie. The main character was a white dude. And no matter how diverse the rest of the cast is, people still will gravitate toward a movie in which the main person that we're supposed to be rooting for is something they're familiar with.
Right.
So not to say that, like, again, because Guardians of the Galaxy and 1 and 2 are some of my favorite Marvel movies. I do enjoy them very much. I rewatch them along with Thor Ragnarok the most. But that's just the fact of the matter, where it's like people are more willing to accept a CGI raccoon and tree before they are willing to accept a gay guy. Like, you know
facts,
what I mean?
Facts. Yeah, I know what you mean exactly.
They're more willing to suspend their disbelief for green Zoe Saldana than they are to suspend their disbelief for like a deaf superhero.
That makes sense.
That it's unfortunate.
Oh, damn! There's a T-shirt right there. Damn, you just
but that's honestly what it is. Where it's like I have pointed it out. Where I'm like, y'all will suspend your disbelief for vampires and dragons and fucking like fairies and shit. But the mere idea of a brown person or a person of color or anybody else not being a white guy being the main character completely just doesn't compute with you.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because it kind of completely discounts like just how many stories and just how many perspectives you can get.
Yeah.
Because again, we've had so many the assistant's name. Kingo's assistant.
Oh yeah. I can't remember his name. But I know what
Whenever
you're talking
he
about.
came on screen, my ass was dying.
That his characters, that assistant. Let me move. I know I'm gonna go out of order where I had, but his assistant, Karun's assistant. He, to me, represented like he represented Earth. He was our ambassador to the I feel like a character like that from India, from with his background, with everything that he grew up learning and what he understood about the world.
I don't think people quite grasp like the existential horror that comes with eternal youth. And that is something that a lot of people, since we all age, we all get older, we all start to change. I don't think people quite grasp just how mentally, emotionally, and just spiritually taxing it would be to never be able to change.
Yeah.
Especially when you are in a body that society deems as non-important, because people discount children a lot. Yes. People look down on children a lot. And children are often one of two things. They are either ignored or they are victims.
Exactly.
And they are never truly respected in the way that children are human beings. And I think that because we grow up and grow past that stage, we can't really wrap our brains around being a child for the rest of our lives. Imagine always having to sit at the kiddie table. That would be awful. Imagine, and here's the thing too, it's her friends, the Eternals, they all ragged on her all the time for it. They didn't have sympathy for her. They didn't have the consciousness to be this probably is awful for you.
You're right.
All they did was make fun of her constantly.
And what? Now thinking about it, I feel like that was that's one thing in that movie that was unrealistic. I would feel like the Eternals, based on what the movie showed us, how they were brought to the earth and how they came to be and whatnot, that they wouldn't care that this person, this Eternal was trapped in the body of what we considered, youth. But I would think that they should have evolved beyond that.
Pause. My dog's very upset. I'll be right back.
Oh, no problem. But I was just saying that I think that I feel like personally that Sprite being treated like a youth and being teased by her fellow Eternals just didn't make any sense to me, because I would feel like after all those thousands of years that they would that they should have, unless they were just doing it for their own personal entertainment.
I feel like they were kind of doing it because, again, they've lived amongst humanity. They've had to adapt. And come here. It's okay. Come on. She's upset because she's upset for some reason. Come here. It's okay, Mama.
I told you, my punchable face is universal.
I'm so sorry. She's basically just like a child. But
that just didn't seem like it made sense to me. It felt like the way our squabbles with race and how we're sexist and how I feel like the Eternals should be above all of that, and especially ageism.
But here's the thing. I don't believe so, because we saw how they interacted with humanity. And I think the reason why they are able to walk amongst humanity and the reason why they are able to be alongside humanity is because they were made to think like humans, and they were made to have personalities. They weren't just robots. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were they could feel, they could fall in love, they could have a crush, they could be, they could have inhibition.
But Sprite was one of them. They knew
how
old Sprite was.
They knew that Sprite was one of them, but they also, again, they're human, and sometimes humans can be assholes,
They're being dicks.
Sometimes humans can be jerks and say things that they don't think are offensive at the time, but are actually offensive.
So when Sprite betrayed, let her feelings out, and she let out how much she loved Ikaris, and she betrayed her friends, were you surprised at that?
I wasn't surprised. I mean, I think there was the initial shock of, oh shit, she really did it.
Yeah.
But when you really look at how she was treated during the movie, and how Kingo literally abandoned her because he couldn't go on with the kid that would never grow up. because it was an inconvenience to him. Like, imagine being an inconvenience to someone and them just ditching you with no explanation. And you find out thousands of years later it's because you were an inconvenience to them. But and so
it's weird because throughout human history, and I was having this conversation with my wife, and I'm like, trigger warning, because I don't want anybody blogging about me, talking about me. But throughout all of human history until about the 20th century, a grown man, or looking like the age of Ikaris and Kingo and everybody else in the Eternals and whatnot, having relationships or a relationship or getting married to a girl of an age or that looked of the age of Sprite was not uncommon back in the day.
Actually, fun fact, it actually kind of was. The only time they really did that was with nobility. So when you were a noble person, when you were a like royalty, that's when you tend to get the thing of like people getting married at 12, 13, 14 years old. It tended to be a transactional thing. People with money, people with power, people trying to gain more money, power, and status.
Right.
When it came to just normal everyday human folk, just like walking around and living, yes, it happens for like, again, for transactional purposes, but when it just came to normal everyday people who weren't trying to make a transaction, a lot of people didn't get married until like 17, 18, 19 years old.
Well, I mean,
even well into their
back
20s.
in the day, back when the life expectancy was around like 30, 40 years old.
Well, even then, that's another thing too, where it's skewed, because if you lived past infancy and you lived into your late teens and early 20s, you were actually expected to live pretty long, like pretty into your 50s and 60s, avoiding any unfortunate accidents. The reason why life expectancy is the way that it is and this is a random topic that I know too much about. I'm so sorry. So the reason why life expectancy is the way that it is and was portrayed the way that it was portrayed is because it's an average of people who lived and died, basically.
Okay.
So if you had a high infant mortality rate as well as a high mortality rate of, like, say, women dying in childbirth or men dying in battle, so you had people dying from the ages of 0 to, say, like 22. And that is a lot of people dying at a young age for those reasons. If you got past those ages, you typically didn't drop dead at the age of 30. People weren't just randomly dying at 30. We're like the same biological people that we were thousands of years ago. So people weren't just like, okay, I'm 30, I ran out of batteries. Like, nah, if you didn't have an infection,
back then we were 30, but we didn't have the same health care and the same.
Oh yeah, we didn't have the same health care. However, we also had different ways of living. So, like, if you actually look, I did this once. I don't know why I went into a full deep dive of medieval diets. People weren't starving, really. Like, a lot of, like, if you had, like, again, if you didn't get sick, if you didn't have any accidents, if you didn't get an infection from, say, like a rusty nail, or if you didn't do something that could cause your untimely death, if you were just vibing and living, you could live well into your 60s, even 70s. So that's why life expectancy looks so bad in regards to, like, the olden times, because people were dying. Like, there was a high infant mortality rate and people were dying due to accidents. But people didn't just run out of batteries and they turned 30. I
know what you mean. Yeah, that makes sense. But as far as like Sprite, but I mean, I could still see that character if we're talking about if it was in real life, not an actress, a minor actress, working with an adult actor. If these were real Eternals and she was just made in that body to look what we consider a minor, I could still see her being in a relationship with one of the other Eternals.
Well, the issue is that they couldn't stay places. So remember when Kingo was just like, people were starting to freak out when they realized that you didn't age. It's a lot easier. Like, I look pretty much the same as I did when I was like 17. Like, once I hit puberty and once I like grew up, I didn't really change. So if I just looked at somebody and said, when I was 17, I'm 23, or I'm 24, or I looked at somebody now and said, I'm 24, I'm 17, they would probably just take my word for it.
Right.
But when you're 12, physically 12, and you sound like a 12-year-old and you look like a 12-year-old, and it's been 5 years, and for some reason you don't look 17, that's going to make people be like, what the fuck
is going on? Yeah, no, I
like,
agree, but only on the parts where they would make it public. But I'm talking about like on a privately. Like I could see them still having a relationship in private. I mean, but they don't have to mingle with humans if they didn't want to. But like what's her name? Makkari was alone a lot, and she like something like that. Like they like if she was. I would think that if she was to fall in love with one of the other Eternals, like if Ikaris wasn't madly in love with Sersi or something like that, that Sprite, if she would have had a relationship with Ikaris and just kept it on the ship or private and all that stuff for when it was time to be together, and never out in public, like something like that. I mean, I'm just nitpicking on how it could.
But here's the thing: it's like we also saw that Ikaris was deeply he had a massive crush on her, and he literally was just like, "I'm yours if you'll have me." He wanted Sersi, and I think another thing too, where it's just like I don't think it was I think it was also about the fact that Sprite, I believe, like at least in the context of the movie, was created the way she was to appeal to the childlike nature. She
had to be the representative for children. She had to be there for because all of them had different races.
They had different reasons for being the way that they
were, and there had to be a child representative. Yeah,
so I believe also the other Eternals, especially since it is true that they have lived previous lives and they have remnants of their previous lives. They also, since they walk amongst children and they. Like you saw Sersi like being the big sister and braiding hair and like playing with toys with people. Right. And like you saw like they probably would still, even though they consciously know that Sprite is beyond her years, they would still visually see her and perceive her as a child, even if they did know that she was millions of years old with the mind of a grown person. Exactly. You know what I mean? I don't think they'd be able to get past that. I wouldn't be able to get past that. The fuck? Like I could not. Yeah. So like it's basically just like it looks like a duck, talks like a duck, and is a duck. Like duck. I would not be able. Like I can't. So I look at it in the concept of in the mindset of that, where it's like you've walked amongst human children. You know the mannerisms and the way they look and the way they sound. I don't think they would have been able to disconnect from that. Like that, I think that would have just been fucking icky. And gross.
I know. I agree.
And B, it would have just been like it just doesn't mentally work like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so at least not for a fucking normal person.
But isn't it crazy though that at the end, because I literally in the middle of watching the movie, I remember I was whispering to my wife, I was like, if they're ever gonna have a sequel to this movie. And whatnot, and like we're talking about, this is the first movie, and Sprite is supposed to be millions of whatever years old, and obviously she's not aging. But the real person, the actress Leah McHugh, she is going to age.
That's why they made her human.
And exactly, and in the middle of me thinking that and whatnot, I'm like, well, shit. I guess she's not gonna. Maybe she's gonna die at the end of this movie, or she's not gonna make it. And then they pulled that thing where they made her like human-like, and made her like I'm like, they're okay. Kevin,
they made her mortal. She was immortal. They made her mortal, which means that she could die.
I mean, I'm sure she still has her powers, but
we don't know. I'm assuming she does.
I'm assuming she does, but they had to they had to throw that into the movie to justify when they make a sequel and she's older, so we won't ask. I remember thinking that before they did that in the movie. I remember thinking, well, they can't have this same actress because she's gonna get older in real life, and the person's supposed to look the same in the next movie. But then when they did that, and like, well, I'm gonna make you human and blah blah blah. Maybe you'll still have your powers, but you're gonna age. I'm like, Marvel, they fixed it. The plot hole is now covered, and brilliant. That's what I was like. I was like, okay, yeah, they covered it in the middle of the movie. I was like, good job, Marvel. Good job.
And
What did you what did you think about one of our favorite characters, Makkari? What was your favorite Makkari moment?
oh my God. Oh, but oh my God. My favorite Makkari moment was 100% when she was just whooping Ikaris's ass.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Put it on the
when
clip.
she was just completely ending this man's whole career. Like, I slow clap it out. She was so good. I was so happy they didn't do the slow motion shit. I was so happy that she was just like, she was just like going for him. Oh my God. She was just like,
this one movie made people bring up things like this is what they should have did with the Flash or now it's like
Quicksilver.
Or Quicksilver. Like this, I saw a TikTok where a person was like, for all we know, Makkari was probably there during Age of Ultron, like looking at Quicksilver, like
amateur,
really, like dude, like come on, like really, you didn't see those bullets come at, like just laughing at him the whole time.
That gets me. Okay, okay, I'll just say this and then we can move on. Why couldn't he just move Hawkeye? Why couldn't he just move him out of the way?
Well, the bullets were coming for Hawkeye and the kid, right?
Yeah, but why couldn't he just yank him by the shirt?
Yeah, hey, but I don't know, but a movie like that to me would have been perfect for, like I was saying earlier, if they would have had introduced an Eternal in a previous movie. I'm sure. I'm glad we got Quicksilver and all that, but Makkari could have been there. And
also too, like, she was so like eclipsed Jasmine. I'm so sorry. But like, she's so mad today, and for what? But my child.
I love how Makkari's getting so much love. I mean,
she deserves it. And also she was funny, and she was just like. She just had, like, again, such charm. Like, that's the thing. It's like, just it radiated through the screen. Whenever she was on the screen, it was just like chef's kiss. Yeah.
She's one of my favorite actresses now. I love Lauren.
I want to see more of the stuff she's been in.
Yeah, I do too. I have a crush on her now. I love her.
I think we all do. Like.
Men and women alike. We're all in unison.
We're all simping for Makkari.
We are simping exactly because she killed it. I'm sorry. I'm thinking the second Ikaris turned bad. I'm like, damn, who's gonna be able to handle this dude?
It's just like,
and Makkari was like, I got this. And
square up, bitch.
His ass. I loved what Flash did during Justice League, and I'm sure what he's gonna do in the Flash movie is gonna be amazing as well. But I'm sorry, Makkari crushed it as a speedster. Yes. That was awesome. This was a great clinic to what Justice League could have done.
Again, people were cheering. They were cheering when she whooped his ass.
Yeah.
Like, it was so.
It was
so satisfying.
In Texas, everybody in my screening, I was silence. Everybody was in awe. You said they were cheering over there where you were.
Yes, like there was like clapping and like woo, like they were like cheering for her. It was just like she was so good. And one of the things too, I think it was Phastos, right, where he like chained Ikaris down. He was just like, I've been waiting to clip your wings. And I was like, yeah.
Let's talk about him real quick. Yeah. That moment where, because I mean, obviously one of the most powerful Eternals. I mean, the master of technology. He could, I was thinking like, what were they gonna do with this character? And when he had that moment with Ikaris, and he was the one guy who was able to restrain him and keep him down, and it didn't really like I was afraid that they were gonna have a moment where he would like break free and like maybe he would kill.
I was so scared too.
Yeah, of him killing Phastos, but it never happened. But no, he handled it. I'm like, obviously he had the technology. He knew what it would take to keep Ikaris down. and he did it perfectly. I loved his character, and like I said before, how there was people in my audience that had that moment where they look. Let me tell you guys. Look, guys. For one, forget about the fact that like technically these are like engineered like maybe like robot like people. Why would they have the same hangups over sexuality as we have as human beings?
Exactly.
But because they're not really technically humans. But at the same time, even if they were technically humans, if they're eternal,
exactly,
why would they care about things like sexuality? You tell me I'm gonna live for 1,000,000 years. I'm gonna experiment.
Yeah, you gotta try. Like that's one thing in all honesty, I'm gonna be completely honest. Mm-hmm. That is the one thing about immortal characters. I'm like, why the fuck would they be straight?
Yeah.
Like why? There's no reason. There's no logical explanation as to why they would be straight.
Technically, human beings, they should look at us as human beings the way human beings look at ants. We're like, what are we compared to them? Like, what? Exactly. Who cares? Can you tell me the difference between a female and a male ant? No, I can't. Like, we're all the same. Like, he fell in love with who he fell in love with.
And that's the thing too. It gets me because I'm just like, I don't know if you know, but I'm like, I'm bi. I'm bi lady, and so like, like when I saw that, and it's like, I'm not a gay man, but like I still like I cried. Like there was like tears running down my face. I sobbed a bit because that was like the first, and I love Marvel movies. I've been watching Marvel movies for years. I have been like into the MCU for a very long time. And this was the first time where I was like, wow, like I feel like not exactly my part of the community, but at least a part of it has been seen. Mm-hmm. And it's in one of my favorite franchises. And it's one of my favorite like things to experience. And I finally got to see just a tiny part of myself.
Right.
And that was just like, it made me cry. And I don't think people quite understand just how powerful it is to be able to see things like that on screen. Because again, I've been watching movies like starring white guys named Chris for years. And I finally got to see something else that actually resonated on a personal level.
Right.
And that is powerful. Media is powerful. And being able to, like, there's people forget, I'm like, people love, like one of my mutuals, Black Gay Comic Geek. Like, he's a Black Gay Comic Geek. And people forget that like people like Phastos exist in real life and they enjoy comics and they enjoy things that everyone does because we're human. Right. And it's such a human experience. And it's so sad to me that there's a whole group of people that want to completely delete a human experience because it's icky to them.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just, they don't even take a second to understand just how important it would be for someone like Black Gay Comic Geek who loves the MCU just as much as we do to sit down and see himself on screen, you know? And it's important. And people want to say it's not important. I'm like, if you say it's not important, it's because you've never had a problem seeing yourself on screen. You've never had an issue.
You've never
seeing
had
someone like you in a positive light. Right. Because that's another thing too, where it's like Phastos was a positive character. He was smart and kind, and he was compassionate, and he had a conscience and a soul, and he just felt so deeply for the people, and he was funny, and he had these funny moments, and just effort, and he was a great dad and a great husband and just a human, and it was such a human thing to watch. This eternal being was such a human person.
Yeah,
and it was beautiful, and I cried.
I agree. I love the actor's name, Byron Teray Henry. I read an article where he said that when he first got offered the role, he was like, oh, okay, well, great. I'm about to be in a Marvel movie. I guess I got to bulk up and I got to get in shape. And he says that the director Chloe Zhao was like, no, I want you to be exactly the way you are.
Come as you are.
For this character. And that was so refreshing to him. He didn't have to. I'm wondering now if if Kamal was like, wait, why did I have to bulk up if he didn't have to bulk up? But it was cool that this, because this actor, because I know I just recently watched him in that show at Atlanta. He said that he was used to being like, he felt like he was going to be typecast in Hollywood. He was always going to be like a gangster type of character and all that. And then, like, for a Marvel movie, everybody has to get 6 packs for a comic book movie. But she was like, no, like you said, come as you are. And he was like, wow.
And I love that so much too, because again, like, the concept themselves of just Eternals, right?
Yeah.
And they just made, again, like, people that you could see walking down the street.
Yeah, people you could see yourself in, yeah.
They weren't these, like, I mean, Angelina Jolie's a goddess, but like, and Gemma Chan is a babe, and like
yeah, no, they had babes, they had regular fun, they had the dad bod.
Richard Madden has cheekbones fucking sculpt to the gods, but like, they also had like, they had people where it's like, yeah, that could be my neighbor, that could be just a guy that I see walking down the street. That's just like the dude that said hi to me or opened the door for me. Like, it's just such a down-to-earth thing, because like, not everyone can get up and look like Richard Madden, you know?
Exactly.
Not everyone can get up and just be full glam all that. I'm not full glam all the time. I'm not wearing I'm wearing a Star Wars t-shirt, no makeup, freaking day 3 hair. Like, it's not like, it's just refreshing to see a person on the screen that reflects humanity.
Exactly.
And it's not just a giant ripped god like Thor, which I love Thor, but like, it's nice. But
it was refreshing to see Thor when he became Fat Thor. It was
and here's the thing, that Thor was so hot when he got that, like, that beard and the braided beard and like the new armor and I was like, oh my god, like
I do declare.
That's the thing where it's like, I think it's so much like Gilgamesh. Oh my god, my male wife Gilgamesh. Like, he was so attractive to me. Yeah. Like that's the thing where it's just like, humanity and just being like a normal human being is so fucking attractive. And I think people devalue that sometimes in Hollywood, where everything is glitz and glam and polished and perfect hair and perfect makeup, and even when you're bleeding you're still looking hot with a 6-pack. Like, I think it's so refreshing to just see human beings on the screen. I love that.
No, I agree. And the power through, because I know we're running out of time. I'm gonna go through the rest of the characters. Rick, what were your quick thoughts on Barry Keegan's character, Druig?
Druig had no business being as attractive as he was.
I love the fact that I felt like I had prejudged him in the beginning. I thought, he's gonna be our main bad guy. Like, he's something I don't like like, I didn't like him at first. The way he wanted to control human. Like, technically, what he was talking about, he wanted, like, if he would control everyone, he could have solved the problems faster. And I thought that that's what we were gonna deal with by the end of the movie. And then he
was just vibing with his own commune.
Right, exactly. It really threw me. He was so complex through the whole movie. The second you thought you had him figured out, like, no, you don't know at all.
And here's the thing where it's like, he kind of has that dichotomy of like, because he's a very morally gray character in my opinion, because he did not right things. I don't think it's okay to take away people's free will. Like, no matter how hot you are, Wanda. And so like, I do believe that humans were afforded free will and should be able to use their free will. However, the way that he looked at it, where it's like they're using their free will to hurt each other.
Yeah, and I can stop that right now.
And he wasn't doing it out of malice. He wasn't doing it out of like, I want to control them so they can be my minions and they can work for me. They were doing it because they were killing each other. Yeah. And he wanted them to stop killing each other. They wanted to stop the chaos. And he was angry because he was afforded this ability and given this ability and not even able to use it for good. And that's the complexity of like, is it okay to take away people's autonomy, people's consent, people's free will? Absolutely not. And also, is it okay to stand by and watch people kill each other when you have the power to stop it? Yeah. And it just makes you ask those deep questions that are just like, is this wrong or is this right? And then he did some wrong things too. He literally had flesh bag humans with guns against deviants, knowing damn well it wouldn't do shit. Like, that's the thing. It's like,
exactly, let them go and give them the chance to run. Like, what the fuck?
He also had the moment of literally using people as weapons as well, which I think was also kind of like an inevitable route he probably would have gone down, because when you use a power like that, you can very easily overuse it.
Yes.
And you can very easily use it sometimes to your advantage and not for the greater good.
Yes.
So I do think that he's a very complex character. And also any man that looks at his girl like that, like you could nuke the world and I'd be like, he's a good man.
True. No, true. I agree with you. Now, before we, I know this is it. Now here's the character I know you really want to talk about. This is the one that represents you the most, right? Because this is the one you wanted for the thumbnail. There she is, the Thor, the goddess of war.
Oh, she's such a bad bitch, and I'm so okay. I'm kind of back and forth on how they handled her character, because I think they knew that she was a very powerful character.
Right.
I think they knew her potential, and I think they knew that if she was in any given situation, she would beat someone's ass. So they had to do something to her by giving her Mad Weary to kind of take her out of commission, to not have her overshadow the rest.
I agree, because I feel like if there was anybody that could take Ikaris down like
she would have beat. She was just like, I'd like to, and I'm just like, I would have loved to also see her just beat his ass.
She was the goddess of war, and I mean, like I don't know what she's like in the comic book, but for her to not have the ability to fly was odd to me. I would think that she would be able to fly. But that's just me thinking about Ikaris. I'm sorry, thinking about the goddess of war.
Old school warfare was very much grounded, so I do believe it kind of makes sense for her to be grounded, kind of using a fabricated sword and shield. That was a great effect also.
Ikaris was the only one who could fly, right?
I think so. I think he was the only one who could fly. Very Superman of him. But basically, like, I think the reason why they gave her Mad Weary is because they knew that she would just on sight beat Ikaris's ass. And like,
I'm curious why they didn't make her the one to do what Ikaris did.
I think because you saw like Thena is a warrior. However, she had that side, like, especially during that scene where she was like, I don't want to forget. I want to remember. I want to know who I am. Mm-hmm. She isn't just a fighter. She's also a lover, and she also loves humanity and loves the life she's lived and loves her friends. And she didn't want to lose that part of herself. So I think that, yes, like skill wise, she's a fighter, but personality wise, she's so much more like, just like, she's like, you even saw her in her own weird way. She was so nice to Phastos' son. Like, she was so just like in a weird, overly aggressive kind of like, because she stabbed a fruit in front of him, which I don't think was age appropriate, but like
in front of
she still had like this warmth and this like just understanding to just chill with a kid and just like proudly state who she is
in front of Phastos' son. Yeah. So like that's why I think that she wasn't going to be the antagonist, because here's the thing about Ikaris. Ikaris was like, he even had like this kind of like grandiose about himself. Like when they mentioned the Avengers and he's like, they have nobody leading them. I think I would be a good leader. And then when he was just like, I don't think Ajax should have chose you. And so he had this kind of grandiose like thing about himself. Meanwhile, Thena was much more grounded, and she valued the skills and the like her, and she valued her family just as much as she valued herself. Right.
And the thing about Ikaris, the reason why he kind of gave like antagonist vibes is because he did have that. There was even like a little sprinkle in there when he was trying to compliment Sersi and ended up saying, I'm very beautiful, which was kind of I think a little Easter egg and a little like more of what's to come, because he still made his love about Sersi about himself, even if it was by accident. And I think that it was very fitting that he turned out to be the traitor.
Yeah.
Because even in like accidental instances, he still made everything about himself.
That's true. I agree. What about moving on? And then we talk, and if we're talking about Angelina Jolie as Thena, we got to briefly speak. Do you okay? So the debate is going on online. Was it a marriage? Was it a relationship? Was Gilgamesh and Thena, were they married? Were they a couple? What do you think?
So, in my opinion, yes. And here's why. Because I think a lot of people look at relationships through a very just media lens, and B, a very just standard lens. They think a typical romantic relationship needs to be like kissing, hugging, holding hands, sex, all that stuff. They think that it needs to be a full-on display of love and affection all the time for it to be valid.
Public displays of affection.
I don't believe that. I believe that you can have romance and you can have affection and love for someone and be in a romantic relationship without having to look at the camera, hold hands, and be like, we are a couple. You know what I mean? And I think that, well, people are also just like, why can't people just be friends? Like, here's the thing. Like, especially with couples, like mixed race couples that are different body types, couples who are not the Western standard of a power couple. And especially since, again, growing up, watching media, being a queer person, and also just looking at love and experiencing love differently than a typical person, you can kind of pick up on things, and you can pick up on subtext that wouldn't immediately be obvious to the standard viewer, if that makes any sense. Because when I saw their relationship, I was just like, this is a marriage. It didn't have to be again, kissing, having sex on the sand, and getting sand in places you didn't need to get sand. It was everywhere. Still very much a partnership, a lifelong partnership.
Yes.
And isn't that what a marriage is?
Right.
That's the thing where it's at its core, isn't that what a marriage is?
Exactly.
So yeah, I think that they were in a relationship, and it didn't have to be the standard kissing, hugging, cuddling all the time, publicly displaying things all the time. It could just be. And I thought it was very, very cute.
And by the end of the movie, when Ikaris threw himself into the sun, and the whole metaphor about him flying, Ikaris flew so close to the sun. I love the fact that they said that. Was it Sprite who made that story up about Ikaris?
Yeah, she made the story up, and then that's how he died.
And that's how he died. I'm like, dude, do you think he's really dead? Do you think either? Or do you think the Celestial will bring a new Ikaris in, something like that? Maybe it won't be the same Ikaris.
Okay, listen, I don't think there's anywhere his character could go from here.
You don't think so?
You know what I mean? In all honesty, I'm not a big super fan of there's only a handful of characters where I'm just yes, we could do something with this character should they come back. I want Gilgamesh back. Mm-hmm. I want Gilgamesh back. I don't want Mr. Manipulator. I want Man Wife back. Because here's the thing about his character. Here's the thing about Ikaris' character. Ikaris, again, is very standard. He is very much what you would expect to see out of any movie, any franchise, anywhere. Mm-hmm. And I love Richard Madden. His character made me cry in the 2015 Cinderella. I think he's a very talented actor. Mm-hmm. But as for Ikaris' character as it stands in the MCU, I think he served his purpose, because at the end of the day, it wasn't about him. It was about everything else. And what good would he do coming back? You know what I mean? Yeah. What would he serve coming back other than to be that awkward ex? And that's all he would be, because at the end of the day, who saved the world? It was Sersi and the rest of the Eternals. At the end of the day, who was the one that we followed the most? It was Sersi and the rest of the Eternals. Yeah. Ikaris kind of left the way he came in, just randomly and not needed.
I agree. The one thing I can say about Ikaris is that he did have that one formula for a villain that I do like, where I feel like whatever the franchise is or whatever the movie is, the most dangerous villains are the ones that know in their heart that what they are doing is right. Like everybody else is wrong and I'm right.
And
like,
even then, that's one thing about this movie, I guess, because it's my personal point of view as well. One thing that kind of didn't hit for me in the movie, which is one of the things where I'm just kind of like I feel like something else would have been a little bit better to argue about, was the fact that the big issue was if we prevent Tiamat, it was Tiamat, which was the celestial that was in the earth, right? That was that celestial
preventing his birth, right?
If we prevent the birth of that celestial, then it will prevent billions of beings from existing. And then literally in my head, I was like, I don't care. I was like, in all honesty,
we're here now, he's asleep.
Exactly. I'm just like, we currently exist now. Humanity currently has billions of people now.
Yeah, we woke. He sleep.
These people don't fucking exist. Like, why do you want me to care about people that don't exist?
About potential people.
You know what I mean?
Oh my God! You just made me realize something. Wait, hold on. Say something else real quick.
Yeah. So that was the one thing that kind of took me out of it, because I'm just like, why the hell would I give a crap about people who don't exist?
You know what? And here's a weird thing. Maybe I'm the only person who thought about this, and I'm thinking maybe I'm weird. But while I was watching this movie, I was thinking, is this a metaphor for like pro-choice rights?
That's what it felt like.
That's what I was thinking.
It felt like I was watching pro-life propaganda. I was just why would I give a shit?
What the hell is going on?
You want me to sacrifice billions of people for people who whole ass don't exist?
Exactly. What? Because we care about, we're pro-life. Yeah, you're pro-life until the person is born, and then what? Okay, Celestial, you're born now. You just killed all those billions of people.
You just killed billions of people. Billions of people suffered at your expense.
Now what?
So is it really worth it?
Yeah, no. So what you gonna do now? And I'm sure.
Yeah, like that's kind of what I was like when I sat back and I was watching that, when Kingo was like, but billions of people won't be born. I was like,
billions of people exist now. What are you talking about?
Alive now.
I don't.
I have a family now.
I don't believe in any movie. I never believed in that. Anybody who feels that their strategy is we should destroy this world to save this other world.
You're basically just canceling a bad thing out with another bad thing, because you're going to do it again.
Exactly.
You're going to have these people be born just to destroy them again. So what's the point?
Exactly. You might as well
that's the thing. It's like, what's the point? Like with Thanos, I'm dusting half of humanity to save humanity. Well, everything was worse afterwards. So did you actually accomplish anything?
Well, no. The ocean life improved.
I mean, the ocean life. Well, here's the thing: he killed half the ocean life too. Everything.
Yeah.
Everything was half.
But with half of humans that were hunting and fishing too much gone.
Then why didn't he just get half the humans?
That's not how it works. It's about balance. But
balance my ass.
But you
Thanos had so many options. He chose genocide.
But you take out half of the humans who are causing the 90% of the harm.
And here's the thing: if you take out half of the resources as well, because animals are still resources, then did you actually accomplish anything?
Yes, I say yes.
So half the cattle and half the humans, you have the same amount of hamburgers.
It's math. Half the cattle is gone, half the resources is gone, but half of the hunters when I say hunters, I mean humans, but half of the humans who are doing too much, who are doing 99% of the problems on the planet are gone. But
at the same time, it's like it's gonna take a while to reaccumulate, especially if something was already endangered.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't really think about that either.
Well, animals that were endangered in the 19th century had a better chance of surviving versus in the 21st century, because technology and advance, it was different. Like, That's a whole different thing. We're
whole different podcast.
Debate on this, but it leads me into one of the last things we'll talk about is the villains. What was your overall thought of the villains in this movie?
So I would have liked to see more of Bill Skarsgård, which was the main deviant.
I thought that he was gonna do more.
Same. He got nerfed so fast. He literally spoke. He spoke for a second, and then he got his ass sliced.
He just learned. It's like, imagine a kid learning to walk, and then the parent just pushes him down. Like, stop that.
Like, I wanted to know more about that, because here's the thing: we can get more of Arishem any other time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I think it would have benefited the story more had that main deviant just left. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But they gained enough sentience to know that this fight wasn't worth fighting, and they left.
Exactly.
Because here's the thing: what are we going to learn now from them? Nothing, because they're dead.
Now they're gone. But I felt like what he was saying, his cause, because for one, they never explained or never made sense. All the deviants that's ever existed, we had the one deviant that learned how to absorb Eternal's powers. That was never explained, but that's fine. Well, because he existed, I thought that maybe this guy was special and maybe he would last a little longer. Like what you just said, walking away made more sense versus getting.
Because here's the thing, all he was doing was gaslight girl boss gatekeeping Athena, knowing and that's the thing where it's like he went from not just kind of being a monster to just absorbing Gilgamesh's power and then suddenly being able to speak. So that, honestly, in my opinion, I think he should have had enough sentience to know that he shouldn't have squared up.
Yeah. I in the movie, I thought when he started explaining why he was doing what he was doing, I thought that was a great pivot point in the movie. I thought, oh my God, or we were told in the beginning that we killed the deviants, but now it's like, oh, maybe we need to sympathize with it. I thought we were going to go into a whole thing where we were going to empathize and sympathize with the deviants, but then they killed him, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess that theory's gone.
Yeah, I think I think his existence was mainly to get Thena out of the way.
Yeah. I felt like that was one of the things that for me it dropped the ball on, because I thought that the whole thing about making us empathize with the deviants was a great twist that happened, but it only lasted for like 5 minutes.
It kind of would have been like what happened with the Skrulls.
Yes.
In Captain Marvel.
Yes.
Where at first we thought they were the bad guys, but it turns out they were just trying to vibe. Yeah. They were just trying to live.
Yeah. Even after what we know from the comic books, we all assumed they were the bad guys, but in the MCU, they are
neutral to good.
Yeah, they were immigrants that we need to help.
So I think they should have probably gone that route, or they should have saved him and set him up for being the villain of the next movie.
Same.
He should have left, and we should have not seen him, and then he should have popped up in a future project.
That's okay. No, same. I agree. The Celestial, the Arishem. What do you think? Is he the big bad? Is Kang the Conqueror the big bad, or is this just is he not? What do you think?
I don't think he's going to be the big bad of this Phase 4. I think he's going, because here's the thing. Arishem, he has some weird vibes for me, because he could have just easily
killed him.
Like, been like, you fucked up. I'm going to nuke this planet.
This is not what I paid you for.
Yeah. Like, he could have completely just called HR on their ass and just had them fired.
Exactly.
Like, he could have
Karen their asses.
completely just been like, Earth gone.
Yeah.
You gone. Hotel Travago. Like, he could have just like completely ended everyone's career.
Exactly.
Obviously, they can't do that because, future MCU projects.
Because Kevin Feige is more powerful.
Because Kevin Feige said no.
Okay,
but
he's more powerful than a Celestial.
I think that it's more of a, again, like neutral to bad, where it's like not necessarily evil, but also like I don't give a shit about your motives. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like personally, I don't care about his motives. I don't. Again, I'm not going to care about billions of people that don't exist. Right. I'm sorry. Right. You can't have me care about characters who are literally not there.
Exactly.
So that's the thing where it's just like, oh yes, I'll like let humanity live. However, I'm going to judge them based on your memories to see if they are worthy.
Right.
Which, like, what are you judging them based off of?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, what is your baseline for this? Because it's obvious that other planets, other galaxies, because Guardians of the Galaxy, they also have mean people and wars and genocide and awful things. So what are you basing your judgment of humanity on?
Right.
Like, what is the baseline for being worthy? It's kind of like Mjolnir, where it's like, you don't have to be the most stand-up person to wield Mjolnir, but like, what are the parameters for not clapping humanity's existence? Like, what are the stakes? Because like other places are perfectly allowed to live just fine.
Yeah.
And they're also terrible. So what's going on? Like, what's the baseline?
And I'm assuming that the from what I've heard in the movie, that the Celestials planted those seeds to create a new Celestial, and not in every planet, but in certain planets. So I'm sure, I guess Earth was one of those planets, but it's like, okay, so because I assume, like, if it was that important to you, and then the Eternals interfered with that yeah, like you said, then why not just destroy the Earth afterwards and punish them and try again somewhere else? But they didn't. So it's like, okay, is it that important? I'm like, okay,
exactly.
If the
I'm like, you literally, okay, like one of your coworkers just got murked.
Yeah.
And you just kind of were like, all right, I'll just interrogate the people that murdered him. Maybe let them go. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, you pretty much gave a universal wag of the finger at this. But in anybody, like, I'm sure if somebody were to come into your house and harm your dog that I heard in the background, I'm sure you'd have done more to that person.
They'd be dead as hell. Well, no, they wouldn't. They wouldn't. That was a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a joke. Yeah, I'm joking.
Yeah. They would not be dead as hell.
They would not be dead as hell.
Let's just
say they would be fully alive.
Yes, we were
no
so
laws
alive.
Broken.
We were so alive them.
They'd be so alive.
Yes. That's how we'll say it. But yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. But the last two topics real quick. Harry Styles. What did you think? What happened in that moment for you?
So I knew it was coming because people can't keep their damn mouth shut. But I just feel weird with Harry Styles in the MCU. I don't think he's a bad actor. I quite like him and I quite like his work. It's just weird. I did not. Out of all the people I would have thought would be in the MCU, Harry Styles just did not come across my mind, So
I didn't know anything about when they said Star Fox. I'm like, wait, that old Super Nintendo video game? I didn't know what the hell was
I was thinking of the Super Nintendo game too.
I don't know what the hell was going on.
And apparently, according to people, like I saw a picture, like, oh, he looks exactly like his like comic book counterpart. I'm like, but does that matter?
I was like, okay,
it does. Great. Like, I don't think exact replicas, because like the face structure looks really similar.
Did you hear any? Was there any like audience reaction when he came on screen?
Not really, because I think everyone already knew.
There over here there was a few. I heard of some girls because it was a mix between press and regular audience, and some lady, oh my God, it's Harry Styles. I was like, what the fuck? What's going on?
Yeah.
So,
but
I didn't get it, but hey, if you like it, I love it.
I think it's fine. Like, I think when we see more of him, I'll see less of Harry Styles and more of the character he's supposed to be portraying.
Yeah.
Because again, it's kind of just like I can't stop seeing. I was kind of afraid too with Angelina Jolie. I was afraid I was only going to see Angelina Jolie.
Yes, that's true. I was too.
So, and I was also afraid that I was only going to see Salma Hayek, but because they're such big people, you know what I mean? They're big people. Yeah. So like I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so afraid that I'm going to just see this actor and not the character.
Yes.
And it didn't happen. I saw the characters just fine. So I just need to see more of Harry Styles as Star Fox, and maybe I'll see the character in less Harry Styles.
What about Pip? Did you agree with some critics were saying that the Pip animation wasn't all that great, or did you
It wasn't
care?
great.
You felt
It
that same?
wasn't great. That's one thing that kind of stuck out to me, especially since everything else was so good. Like the visual effects were stunning, and then they had this like PS3 character.
I felt like they rushed it. Yeah, I felt like that was like, all right, hurry and get it in there.
That was some last minute shit. Yeah, that's the thing where I'm like,
they didn't invest in it hard because they knew it was just only going to be for a few minutes, so they didn't invest.
Yeah, the rest of the movie looked so good that I feel like that was just a sore thumb.
It was jarring. All right, last but not least, the end credits, the very last scene that we saw. What did you think about the whole thing? The whole time in this movie, this guy was supposed to be pretending like he was a regular dude, but now we learned that he's gonna have was it the Black Knight, the Ebony Knight?
Black Knight, yeah.
He's gonna have like a future into the MCU. So what do you think about that end credit scene when
I love Blade. It was one of the first Marvel movies I'd ever seen, along with like I got introduced with Marvel because of the X-Men trilogy. I know it's not MCU. I know it's just Marvel, but like X-Men and Blade were the things that introduced me to Marvel in general.
Right.
So, and also like the Sam Raimi like Spider-Man trilogy. So basically anything that came out in the late 90s, early 2000s is the reason why I am the way I am. And I saw all the Blade movies with my dad. We marathoned them all in one day when I was like 11, 12. And I was like, oh my God! Like, I love vampires. If you look at my page, occasionally you'll just see a random rambling about vampire media.
I think I saw some vampire teeth in some of those posts.
Yes, I love vampires and I love Blade. So I'm so excited.
When you first heard the voice, like, did you think it was Blade when you first heard the voice?
At first, I was like, "What the?" Like, I was originally gonna be like, "Is that a Watcher?" Because like we had just gotten off of What If. So I was like, huh? And then afterwards, I was just like, wait a damn minute. And then I saw the internet and I was like, it was Blade!
So before you got confirmation from the internet, you thought it was the Watcher.
Yeah.
When I first heard the voice, I thought, what was his name? From Doctor Strange. Remember he was, the problem with the world is too many wizards. For 12 Years a Slave. Oh God, let me pull up, let me pull up his name. Cast. Chiwetel Ejiofor. I thought that was his character. Because it felt like the sword was obviously magical. And whatnot. And his whole thing at the end of Doctor Strange was, destroying anything wizard related, like too many wizards. And I'm like, where the hell is Chiwetel Ejiofor's character at? Yeah, where the hell is Baron? I thought that was him.
Dane was like, "Oh my God, you're not a wizard, are you?" Like, because like I understand why you would think that.
Exactly, he kept bringing up wizards over and over, but then it turns out that because the sword was enchanted by Merlin, which, and for all I know, maybe this is where Chiwetel Ejiofor's character Baron would come back, if not in Doctor Strange 2, but in another MCU movie, maybe with Blade and with this character. It makes sense because there's a Merlin tie, there's a magic tie, obviously.
And then here's the thing too, because the trailer for Morbius came out, which is a Sony picture. But so I'm just like, oh my God, like, are we actually gonna be getting like a shit ton of crossovers, like with like Disney and Sony? Because like I believe, like at least in the comics, Blade and Morbius, like they just. There was some bad blood there, huh?
I feel like the timing is so off with that. I feel like the Sony Marvel merger is slowly coming to an end, and there's only a few. Maybe, but there's still a deal in place where even because people predict that, and I'm one of them, that once we get No Way Home, this will be Sony officially announcing to the world. So, Tom Holland's Spider-Man is being plucked out of the MCU and now coming into the Sony Spider-Man verse, And
Yeah.
but he will be able to in the future go back and forth when we want to do the crossover stuff. And I feel like if this would have been done so, if Blade would have came out sooner, I would have said yes, Morbius. Yes, it makes sense that because there was a Sony deal where you help us, establish a new Spider-Man, and then we'll allow you to use him in the MCU. But you also have to let us Sony use some of your MCU characters, which is why Robert Downey Jr. was allowed to be in Homecoming and blah blah. Yeah. That's the Sony Marvel deal, and it makes sense for Morbius or Blade or whatever to also be a part of that. But there's so few chances that they have a certain number of full movies and certain number of cameos to pull an MCU character into the Sonyverse and blah blah. There's so few of them left. I'm hoping that if they're gonna do it, they need to do it like now, because
I believe also I think Blade has also been delayed, unfortunately.
It's been so if Blade would have been coming out like 2 years ago, I would have been like, oh yeah, Blade's gonna be in a couple Spider-Man movies or whatever.
Yeah, they cast Mahershala though, like just in like 2019.
Yeah, exactly. But with it all winding down, I think it will happen, Morbius and whatnot, because I think the especially the fans who remember the Spider-Man animated series from the 90s when Blade, Morbius, and Spider-Man tangled.
They pop up in that.
They that's what they want to see. But if they don't do it within the next 5 years, I don't think
it's going to be weird.
I don't think they will ever do it. It has to be done within the next 5 years. After Morbius is released, not now. Yeah. After Morbius release, if they don't do
Morbius coming out soon. It's in like
it's
January.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If after that's when I'm starting the clock. If you want to see a Spider-Man, Blade, Morbius kind of thing happen, the clock to me starts after Morbius is released. If Sony doesn't use one of their, we have it in our contract to use an MCU character real quick in a Sony movie, or we have this time to use Tom Holland in an MCU movie. After that, Sony door is closed. If they don't pull that trigger within 5 years after Morbius, I don't think they'll ever do it. That's just my belief. But that's just me speculating. I think we've gone through all the topics that I had written down. Before I let you go, the news that just popped off yesterday about the writers of the movie have said that they were interested in a prequel, a Disney Plus prequel.
Yes.
Are you down for that?
Yes, I want to see more of them. I want to see more of their antics, especially what they did separately for all those years. Like, I want to see more Gilgamesh and Thena. I want to see more Druig and Makkari. I want to see all of that.
Yes,
I want all of it.
I think it would work, even if it was a limited series, even if it was only for one season. Here's how you can do it. Even if they only want to do it for one season, each episode would be focused on each Eternal.
Yes. Just going through their lives. Until what happens in the movie.
Exactly. That's all
I would love that. Like, I'm so invested. Like, I want to see, like, because, like, the Druig in the commune, like, Makkari just, like, collecting everything like a goblin. Like, Gilgamesh just, like, learning how to do all these things and, like, hanging out with Thena. Like, bruh, I want to see all of it.
Exactly.
Like, all of it.
I want it all. No, I agree. So I'm excited. About it. Like I said, my final thoughts on it was I feel like this movie is a classic Marvel movie. I feel like it's gonna get the same overall treatment the way like Age of Ultron is getting. How at first people were like, in comparison to the first Avengers, that it wasn't that great, but now for some reason out of nowhere people have been going back to Age of Ultron, was like, no, that was actually
it was good. Actually,
it was great. And what I feel like once we get some distance from Eternals, or when we get the next Eternals, I feel like this movie is going to get the treatment that Star Wars: The Last Jedi got. Everybody was hating on Last Jedi until The Rise of Skywalker came out. Then everybody was like, "Oh, I love the right.
I loved it from the beginning.
Yeah, I did too.
I liked it before it was cool to like it.
Yeah, but the Fandom Menace people were all like hating on it until the next. So when we get the next Eternals related movie, that's when I feel like the Eternals will be appreciated.
Age like fine wine.
It will. It guaranteed. Once we see the big picture, that's my overall thoughts. What about you? What are your final thoughts about the Eternals before I let you go?
Honestly, overall, I give it a solid like 8.6 out of 10, and not like the best freaking Marvel movie I'd ever seen in my life, but definitely not the worst, and definitely not down there with some of the. And it's just honestly, I really enjoyed it. Yeah. Like I enjoyed it a lot. I had a good time. I cared a lot. I laughed a lot. I cried a lot, and that's what I want movies to do to me. I want to feel. I want to have a good time. I want to have fun. I want to think. And Eternals did that for me. And I loved it. So I hope to see more of it. I hope to see more of the characters. Stan Gilgamesh for clear skin. And Druig had no business being that fine. And Makkari's a queen.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, guys. That is our thoughts, our spoiler talk for the Eternals. We had a few comments in the section. I noticed that somebody goes, and I'm not lying when I say, I don't know if you can see it right there. Jameson says, Dane Chris, how are you so gosh darn handsome? I did not pay him to say that, but thank you, bro. And we got some hearts from Sarah. But that's just me. I'm sorry I kept you overtime and whatnot, but I wanted to get your thoughts on everything. If we want to find you online, remind the audience where people can find you if they want to reach out to you.
You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter. All of it's going to be Amanda Just Vibin'. All one word. It's probably going to be on the screen somewhere. And you should definitely follow me. I make a lot of chaotic nerd content. My dog is squeaking a toy. I'm so sorry. And I do a lot of like just commentary, comedy, and then the occasional cosplay. So yeah, if you're into that stuff, follow me. And if you're not, follow me anyway and figure it out.
Exactly. And I'm gonna let you close the show with, if you don't mind, doing your special catchphrase for people. The reason why you're so beloved by the comic book geeks. If you can shout it out real quick.
Okay. Marvel.
Our supporters help make all this content possible, so make sure you check out our Patreon page so you can help us bring you the content you want.
Push the pedal to the freaking metal. I'm turned up just like heavy metal. Yo. Turned up on another level. Push the pedal to the freaking metal. I'm turned up just like heavy metal.